Going down the bayou. Going down the bayou. Yeah, we going down the bayou, but we not going on no Disney shit. I just want to warn y'all right now. When I tell y'all the house smells so freaking good because I just got done making a new fresh batch of my sugar cookie soap bars. I'm about to go ahead and make me like 4 jars of it in the whip soap so I can have some for myself, because when I say I just want to eat my hands up because they smell so good. Y'all need to make sure y'all go get it right now. Run, don't walk. What's good in the YouTube hood? It's your girl Luna Nova, and I'm back with another video for you guys today. I know here on my channel we talk about all things spirituality, ATR, spooky people, places, and things, but we haven't quite talked about too many people, so let's get into it today. For those of you who are new to my channel, I am a hoodoo practitioner here based in Atlanta, Georgia. And one thing that I absolutely pride myself on is educating my clients, especially my melanated brothers and sisters, on hoodoo tradition and practice. And I do mean all of it, the good, bad, the ugly, and the worst. We're all going to know about it, because I feel like it's an essential part of being a hoodoo practitioner or stepping into the realm of hoodoo, whether you know that you are or not. Because let's face it, hoodoo is embedded in Black culture. I'm pretty sure you're practicing hoodoo without even knowing it, but that's going to be for another video. Let me know if you guys want to see that. Today, we are going to talk about the Swamp Queen, and baby, I am not talking Dolce. So make sure that you go ahead and get your favorite drink, your snack, and get cozy, because today we're going to have a nice little chit chat. So without further ado, let's get into who Julia Brown is. Deep in the Louisiana swamps, among the twisted cypress trees and murky waters, lies the legend of Julia Brown, a voodoo practitioner whose eerie prophecy became one of the most chilling stories of Southern folklore. Did she curse the town, or did she simply see what was coming? Let's dive into the mysterious tale of Julia Brown and the storm that wiped out a town off the map. Julia Brown, sometimes spelled Julian Brown, I don't know why they would make that mistake, but I digress, lived in Frenier, Louisiana in the late 1800s and early 1900s. She became a well-known hoodoo practitioner and healer, using her spiritual gifts to help her community. Kinda like your girl. People always came to her for her herbal remedies, protection spells, and guidance. But like many spiritual practitioners of her time, she was both feared and respected. Some say Julia felt unappreciated by the townspeople, while others believe she was a woman with deep spiritual insight, someone who could simply see what others couldn't. Either way, her story took a dark turn when she would start singing a chilling phrase that no one would forget. Legend has it that Julia would sit on her porch, rocking back and forth, softly singing a haunting warning. Quote, "One day I'm gonna die, and I'm gonna take this town with me." At first, people brushed it off, but on September 29th, 1950, on the very day of her funeral, a monstrous hurricane slammed into Frenier. The storm devastated the town, wiping it completely off the map and nearly killing all residents. Survivors later recalled Julia's very eerie words, believing that she had either cursed the town or predicted its ending. Julia's connection to hoodoo makes her legend all that much more fascinating. Hoodoo is a very powerful African-American folk magic tradition, blending African, European, and indigenous spiritual practices. It's deeply tied into working with spirits, root work, and protection rituals. Even today in Manchica Swamp, where Frenier once stood, is said to be haunted. And if I pronounce that wrong, don't come for me. Just politely tell me in the comments. Visitors claim to hear strange whispers, seeing shadows move, and feel an eerie presence near Julia's grave. Some believe that she still watches over the land, and others say that she's waiting for the next person who dare disturbs her rest.
Baby, this is Auntie Julia Brown, also known as Julie White and Julie Black. She was born in 1845 in Louisiana, and in the 1860s she moved to a town called Frenier. And she worked there, made a living there as the town healer. She practiced folk medicine, used herbal remedies and teas, and delivered babies because doctors, they were so isolated when a lot of doctors around. Okay, so baby, in the 1880 or 1882, she married a man named Celestin Brown, and he died in 1914. So when he died, she inherited 40 acres of land that the government had granted to him. So baby, people would come see Auntie, right, when they needed something. That's the only time they would come see Auntie. And so Auntie started feeling some type of way Right. So Auntie was sitting on her porch, baby, in her rocking chair, sang her song, when I die, I'll take the whole town with me. When I die, I'll take the whole town with me. So, baby, people thought she was cursing them, honey. Okay, so on September 28th in 1915, some storm warnings went out, but they were slow because they came in by telegraph in the mail. So a lot of people didn't even get the warnings. And so, baby, on September 29, 1915, which was also the day of Auntie's funeral, baby, they put her in that box. They put her in another box. And when they started nailing that box shut, baby, a Category 4 hurricane came through there and swept them. Okay. A lot of people died. A lot of people drowned. They saying that place is still haunted to this day.
Let's talk about the curse of voodoo and hoodoo priestess Julia Brown. And this curse is crazy. Like, this lady literally started a whole hurricane with her curse. Now let's talk about it. Now, Julia lived along the bayou in a very, very small town, like right outside of New Orleans, called Frenier. And she lived at the edge of the swamp and worked with residents of the town Frenier. Like, this town was so small, they had no roads, no electricity, no doctors, no nothing. The only thing they had was like a train station that would literally import goods from New Orleans so they could eat. So Miss Julia was basically the only thing they had as far as helping them with fertility and like healing with different herbs and getting curses off of them, and just literally the only thing they had to help them. And people would come from all over New Orleans and everywhere for, you know, the seek of her help. But for some reason, Miss Julia felt like she was very unappreciated. And people took advantage of her and used her and talked about her like throughout the towns. So she like, all this help and good stuff I done did for y'all, and this is the thanks I get. Y'all want to dog me behind my back? So she was like, I got something for y'all. Now, it was said that she would often go outside and sit on her porch and like just sing and play music on her guitar. But this one specific day, y'all, she sung a song that said, one day I'm gonna die and I'm gonna take the whole town with me. And that she did, I fear. September 29th, 1915 was the day of her funeral, y'all. Everything was cool whenever she passed away. But the day of her funeral, that's when all hell broke loose. A literal hurricane, I'm talking about a literal hurricane, came over out of nowhere. Like, this was all on news channels and everything. Like, it came out of nowhere. Soon as they put the last bits of dirt on her casket. I'm talking about a hurricane just came out of nowhere. Clouds got dark. Everything. People were scared for their life. It was horrible. So many of the town people literally tried to run to the only railroad and train station they had. And while they get on that, it collapsed. And like 25 to 30 people passed away on that train. And altogether, over 300 people in Louisiana passed away, like, during the process of this. Like, the hurricane was so bad that they found her corpse like a few days after the funeral. But the casket itself never was found. So her funeral quickly became a part of local lore. And this town is considered very haunted and a ghost town, and they do all kinds of different tours and everything because of this curse. People really believe that when she sang that song, that it put a curse on this whole town. Because just think, the town probably consisted of 300 people and 300 people passed away. It was crazy. Like, they did not appreciate my girl and all the work she did. So she put a hex on them. I'm talking about, as soon as they was going to put her in the ground, all this just took place. Like, they said this hurricane literally came out of nowhere. That's why you just don't mess with folks and don't take advantage of people. But let me know if y'all want to hear more about Julia Brown and more about different voodoo queens and voodoo priestesses.
Storm surge flattened every building in the area, washed away railroad tracks, and knocked over cypress trees. 25 Frenier residents perished while attempting to weather the storm in the railroad depot when the building collapsed. According to an October 2, 1915 article in the New Orleans Times-Picayune, Brown's body had been abandoned mid-funeral when the storm hit. After it was over, her body was located, but her casket was never found. The American South experienced two significant hurricanes within a month of each other in 1915. The first hit Galveston, Texas in mid-August, and the New Orleans hurricane hit in late September. The Galveston hurricane claimed 400 lives, while the Great Storm of 1915 slammed southern Louisiana for an entire day. 300 lives were lost in the New Orleans region. Some sources report that all but 2 of Frenier's residents perished, and the 2 residents that just happened to be out of town that day. Both of these storms occurred during the Atlantic hurricane season, which lasts from June through November. But while those in New Orleans were warned a few days ahead of the storm's approach, there wasn't enough time for the warning to reach Frenier and surrounding towns. Frenier was a very small village established along with the train stop between New Orleans and Ruddock, a logging town to the northwest of New Orleans. Ruddock's population numbered about 1,000 people and was much larger than Frenier's, but it too was not prepared for a major hurricane. It's hard to imagine today, when modern technology effortlessly connects us to others in some of the most remote places on Earth, but without electricity or roads, there was simply no way to communicate the incoming storm to any of the small towns along Lake Pontchartrain. In fact, it was a 5 to 10 mile trek through a swamp to get there from the nearby city of Laplace. And given the weather, such a trip would have almost certainly been deadly. With no real warnings received, when the storm hit, it took out both Ruddock and Frenier. Hurricanes, of course, remain a major danger to Louisiana to this very day. As recently as 2021, Hurricane Ida passed through the state, killing at least 12, leaving over 90% of New Orleans without power, and causing untold billions of dollars in damages. Today, Frenier is a tiny fishing village encompassing a handful of houses and a restaurant. The isolated area is well loved by residents and a popular spot for swamp tours and fishing. However, so much of the town was wiped out that it was simply never rebuilt, and it never returned to its former size after the 1915 hurricane. Some locals believe Julia Brown's ghost still haunts the swamp near Frenier to this very day. Her ghostly visage has allegedly been sighted at the edge of the lake, cackling at passerbys. Many people also visit the mass grave in Frenier Cemetery and have reported hearing an eerie voice singing her infamous song.
So, was Julia a powerful hoodoo woman who cursed the town? Or was she a gifted seer who simply saw what was coming? The hurricane and Julia were very much so real people in events that actually happened. But whether her prophecy was a warning or a spiritual attack of revenge remains a mystery. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Was Julia Brown a misunderstood spiritual worker, or is there something more to her story? If you enjoyed today's video where we dipped a toe into Southern folklore and hoodoo legend, that you don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell because more will be on the way. In my next few videos, we're going to jump into paranormal activity, spiritual mysteries, and ancient secrets. So stick around if you're ready to have a deep dive into the unknown. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Stay curious, stay powerful, and respect those spirits. Us spiritual practitioners do a lot for you all, so y'all need to make sure that you are using those resources wisely and respectfully. Well, all right, family, make sure that you drink your water, mind your business, and stay prayed up and protected. And as always, Luna loves you.